From buried treasure to whether they really had wooden peg legs or not. Join us as we examine the myths and legends of pirates with these 20 interesting pirate facts.
While piracy usually designates maritime piracy, the term can also include acts committed in the air, on land, or in other major bodies of water, or even on a shore. Generally, the goal is theft of specific cargo or property. The English word pirate is derived from the Latin term pirata, which translates roughly as sea robber. It can be etymologically traced further back to the Greek term pirame, which means attempt, as in attempted robbery. Over the years, this term has evolved into pirates, which English translates roughly as brigand, which refers to a gang that ambushes people. The ancient Greeks touted piracy as a legitimate profession. Young men became pirates as it was widely recognised as a way to make a living. A pernicious subset of pirates known as Barbary corsairs hailed from northern Africa. They considered themselves holy Muslim warriors fighting Western Christians. It is estimated that between the 16th and 19th centuries, Barbary corsairs captured and enslaved up to 1.25 million people. Their raids on coastal regions of Spain and Italy became so frequent and violent that villages were forced to move inland. Prior to the United States declaring independence in 1776, British treaty terms dictated protection from Barbary pirates. However, upon declaring independence, the US soon found themselves under attack by Moroccan Barbary pirates. A peace agreement was eventually negotiated, but a monetary tribute was required to prevent attack. By the year 1800, the ransom fees were so high that it equated to 20% of the United States' annual expenditure. Blackbeard's real name was thought to be Edward Teach. He was a fearsome pirate who never shied away from a fight. As his reputation grew, he began to braid his beard with black ribbons. He'd then stuff slow-burning fuses in his hair and under his hat when going into battle so as to look like the devil coming out of a mist. When Blackbeard was finally killed, they discovered on his body 5 bullet wound scars and 20 sword slashes. His head was lopped off and used as proof to cash in on his bounty. His body was then pushed into the ocean. Legend has it that his headless body swam 3 laps of his commandeered ship before disappearing into the briny waters below. Modern-day pirates are still a threat, particularly through Southeast Asia around the Straits of Malacca, where they prey on ships transporting oil and other valuable cargo. Pirates were often really good at sewing. It was a vital skill needed to mend torn sails and clothing during the long stints at sea. Pirates used to keep their clothes in something called a slop chest. On merchant ships, it was often used as a sort of store where shipmates could buy and sell goods such as clothing and other merchandise. As long as there's water, there's pirates. All across the world, river pirates have menaced and robbed merchants and travellers. In the 1800s, river piracy happened along the Ohio River and Mississippi River valleys. They would use a variety of tactics, often hiding in caves along the riverfront, ambushing and assaulting river travellers, then selling their wares further downstream. In 1762, the highest bounty ever was paid for the capture of the Spanish frigate Hermione. Each individual crew member who contributed to the capture of the ship received £485. By today's standards, that's about $1.4 million each. Did you know you can change your language on Facebook to pirate? To do so, click the plus button at the bottom right hand side of your feed. A list of languages should pop up, then choose Pirate English and away you go. You'll be swashbuckling with all your landlubbers in no time. During the 17th and 18th centuries, which is considered to be the golden age of piracy, women would often dress as men to gain positions on pirate ships. Famous examples are Anne Bonny and Mary Read, who did so to take advantage of the rights and privileges granted only to men at that time. The phrase "shiver me timbers" was rarely used by real pirates. The saying didn't become famous till after Disney's 1950 adaptation of Treasure Island, but it was around before then too, being used several times in Robert Louis Stevenson's original book published in 1883. Pirates pierced their ears with gold or silver because they believed it would improve their eyesight. Historical studies have shown that scurvy, a disease caused by vitamin C deficiency, killed more sailors than any battle ever did. Roman Emperor Julius Caesar was captured twice by Mediterranean pirates. After negotiating his own release, he promised that he'd have every single one of his captors crucified, a promise that he indeed kept. Evidence shows that some sailors, though technically not pirates, did replace lost limbs with wooden pegs. One famous case was Cornelius Joel, a 17th century Dutch corsair nicknamed Pegleg. pirate booty is rarely the treasure you'd envision. More often than not, it was food, spices, alcohol, and clothing. There is only one documented case of a pirate burying his treasure. William Kidd, a 17th century pirate, buried some of his treasure on Gardiner's Island, just off the coast of Long Island. He buried it so he could use it as a bargaining tool to save himself. However, an acquaintance of Kidd's dug up the treasure and used it as evidence against him. He was charged with piracy and murder and sentenced to death. His body was put on display in a cage hanging over the River Thames for nearly 20 years.
Well, that's it for another episode. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the content. Now, today's Q&A question is, if you could invent a fake pirate fact, what would it be? Let us know in the comments section below, and the funniest, most interesting answers could feature in our next Q&A. Well, that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Bye. Pew!